All right, before we jump into this episode where we talk about 18SJ, I just wanted to let you know who won the contest from the last episode. That is Brent Henson. You have won a copy of 18 Space India, so congratulations. Send me an email at wheeltapping@gmail.com and I will get that into the post for you, post ASAP. So thank you very much for playing along. Brent was chosen from the comments and the emails we received that we then randomly selected one person, and he was our winner. So if I don't hear from you, Brent, within a couple weeks, we will redraw and go with someone else. If you already have an 18 India and you'd like to donate it, hey, that works too. Just let me know. I also want to take a quick second. Tony and I were very touched by the warm reception and thoughtful emails we received. There were a few in particular that really made us kind of really warm up and remember why we do this when we can anyway. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you who took the time to write a note, respond, send an email. Thank you all very much. So without further ado, let's get back to listening to these two idiots talk about 18XX games. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Can you believe it? Tony, we're doing this again.
And again, after this.
Again, I kind of feel like this is kind of like a weird repeat that's not a repeat, but it's totally a repeat. Right?
Hopefully a welcome repeat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing we thought is for those of you watching at home as opposed to listening, you may notice things sound different, look different. We are sitting in Shea, Colorado at the Fryer residence in the basement.
The basement train room.
The basement train room. I am fortunate enough to be invited to hang out and stay, and I love every minute. And we get to do cool things like love the 40 Museum.
Today, we just went to go see the trains.
Yeah, we got to go 3 times.
Yes.
We got in once. Moral of the story, call ahead.
It's a bit like playing Francis Drake.
Yeah.
The 40 Museum, they have a big boy. And some other very awesome trains and automobiles.
Yeah, I was pretty excited. We have a couple automotive museums in Philly that are pretty well known. And this was a different collection that was up there, and it was pretty cool. But the 2 tracks of train that are in there, you got a 440, you had like 2 older engines, and then you had...
It's got the big boy, the Chicago Northwestern.
Right.
It's got a couple of dining cars, one of like 50s vintage and one of like
Pullman.
1850s vintage.
Yeah.
That's the
Pullman. Yeah, the Pullman, the one car that was converted for the politicians. That was pretty cool.
Yes.
That was pretty awesome to see.
They have the big giant snowplow.
Yeah. Oh, the snowplow is amazing.
Yeah.
You just stand in front of it, and I swear to God, you feel like you're standing in front of one of the sandworms from Dune, because this thing is just gonna chew you up in a second.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah, it is. It's you know what? We missed the opportunity to get a picture of me in front of it, but it's so close to the glass that I don't even know if that would have worked.
Yeah, it's right at the edge. And so you only have like 6 feet to back up. I don't know if you can get the whole thing in scope,
No, it was amazing. I mean, the big boy I expected, right? Like, I'm like, this is going to be big. This is going to be huge. That thing kind of shocked me a little bit because I was like, but it has to be bigger than all the trains it's pulling.
The big boy, you were at the front end, and I said, okay, now I'm going to walk down to the other end. I was like, I'm way down here. Chris.
That thing's long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so long that it actually, you told me this, the main trucks on the actual body of the train itself are articulated so it can make corners because it's too big.
It's too big to go around curves.
It's insane.
By itself.
Yeah. So that was, so if you're in Denver, call ahead, make sure they're open, but definitely check it out. It was very cool. Not a ton for like train nerds, but it's kind of the pinnacle at the exact same time. It's kind of weird.
It's a great museum. It's great.
Yeah, it was very cool.
And you're here because
I was out for Tracks 4, I believe.
It is. Tracks 4.
So Tracks 4. So we were here for May 2nd to 5th, hanging out, playing some games. I got to play a lot of games. I won a few, Tony.
Really?
I won a few. I'm not wearing my socks that I won.
Oh, that's right. You won some socks.
Yeah, I won some socks. We played. So Tony and the team came up with 1824 plus, which was monstrous. It's like 30 companies on like a slightly larger than 24 map.
Not quite 30. It's 1837 on. It's 1824 rules with 1837 companies.
It was big. It was largest.
We wanted to just do like just something silly that's like only at tracks to play it, kind of a thing. That's kind of like a big epic game that doesn't take, say, like Shades of 1808.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a
No,
day and a
no.
half to play or anything.
But I think our game was like 3 hours.
Yeah,
I think it was. And it was
basically 1837 in 3 or 4 hours. I mean,
if you're listening and you're in that game and you're one of the people who got to hang out and do absolutely nothing because you were in lone hell, again, we thank you because sometimes it happens that that train rush caught a couple players way out.
There were some loans handed out.
it was rough, but when you're playing in something and you're playing for such a large prize as a pair of train socks, I think it's important that people play to their fullest potential for the entire game. And they did.
Yes.
They did. And I appreciate that. It's not all the time, right? Like sometimes we're calling a game because that's going to be miserable for someone.
But when there's socks on the line.
But there are socks on the line. You got to go all in.
100%.
And by going all in, I mean you got to dump Tony with a company that has absolutely nothing in it.
Yeah, it did happen.
It was great. It was wonderful. I did it.
Yeah, Tracks is great. We had over 60 people. We sell 60 tickets, but there were a couple of folks that were like, "Hey, can I?" Absolutely. And it was a lot of fun. My favorite thing is to see the people I only get to see, once a year.
Right.
And then play train games, of course.
What's really funny is the first one I came to, like playing train games was kind of felt secondary to me. Like I was more like, I was just interested in hanging out, meeting people and just kind of chilling and watching. Like I see, I don't know that I had the brain power to do game after game after game after game, especially for 4.5 days, because let's be honest, that's also happening Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So it's it was a little daunting at first, but then like last year, it was just that, we showed up at the convention and it was like literally, there's a whole night. Okay, I'll sit down and play. And then next thing you know, you're just off to the races and playing games. And, 8 hours later, you're like, oh crap, dinner, probably should eat. That's a good thing.
And people of all skill levels.
Oh, absolutely.
Or experience levels, maybe I should say.
And we are teaching so many people games. And unlike, I did Derailed, which is Delaware's, it's a Delaware convention, but it's more in the style of like a Puffing Billy. It's run by Pierre Leboeuf of 18NY. We will talk about that at some day, I promise. But it was, that was more like all train games welcome. Not that we don't welcome all train games, but 95% of what gets played is 18XX 100. Like, so if you just crave groups to play with, Denver's a pretty cheap airport to fly into, especially with Southwest and things. You can get there by light rail pretty easily and cheaply. And, the hotel is not horrible, especially considering rates these days. Highly recommend.
There were several people with their prototypes there.
Yeah.
Scott Peterson was there with some prototypes, as he always is.
And a surprise guest and Ian Wilson showed up.
Surprised to some, perhaps.
It was me. I was kind of shocked. We're going to talk about his prototype probably in either a past episode or a coming episode, depending on when we decide to put these out.
Nice.
But that was pretty cool. It's 18BF Big Four.
Big Four.
He wants to also maybe call it Big Five because there's 5 majors in it potentially.
But there's only 4 British companies. Yeah.
Traditionally. Yeah. So it might go either way.
Yes.
But it's going to be 18BF, I think, is what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Best friends.
Sounds like.
Best friends for life. But that was really cool to have him out playing some games. But we're here to actually talk about something that's readily available, actually.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Like you can pick this up if you go on Scott's website now. And it's not $18 sign. It's 18SJ.
It's SJ, yeah.
Yeah. It's actually, it's 18SJ. Sorry, getting text. That's life. But
it is modern life.
Yeah, it's
railways in the frozen north.
Frozen north of what, Tony? What is SJ?
Sweden.
Sweden, exactly.
Yes.
And it was one we got to play, and it was a lot of fun. You called it a mashup.
I got to play it at Trax, but then after Trax too.
Yeah, we played
When
it
we were here
again
on Monday. Yeah,
and we might probably play it again tomorrow morning if we're honest.
yeah, that's what it sounds like. So, what did you ask me? I apologize.
That's good. You said it's kind of a mashup. It's got some different parts going on.
I feel like 1830 and 1846 had a baby,
Yeah.
and here it is. Teenage Stray.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I didn't quite get the references initially, but there are definitely some ways I get it. It totally shines through. Like even to the point where you were like, I don't know, the stock market doesn't seem that great. And then we played with Jeroen, and Jeroen, and it was he really started messing with the stock market, very 1830 style, and
Yes.
it was fun to watch.
Yes, definitely so.
So let's kind of dive into this point. Let's just go straight into yellow and kind of talk about the privates. I kind of did I not set the? I thought I put
Yeah, they're out there somewhere. So
they're out there.
With the private companies, there's a waterfall auction like there is in 1830, and there's like a B&O, if you will, from 1830, and it's a waterfall auction. But there is a little bit of variability because some of the privates will be in one game, but maybe not the next, and stuff like that. So there is a little bit of variability.
There's also why I couldn't find the privates is because there's also all the director's certs are in here because we're going to pull out one director's cert in each game. So there's one company that's completely not in the game. But the privates are cool. I like the way they pair up too. It's not just, hey, shuffle these up and take them out. They're like, no, shuffle these two up or two or three and then pull out however many you're going to use.
And they're good privates.
Yeah. There's some fun ones. I mean, we have a minor company. This is always in the game, I believe.
Yes. Oh, yes. The miner's always in.
Yeah. Then we have basically it's the ability to have a rocket. You may buy a train in at the start of your run.
Yeah.
Which is always cool. You can add a port.
1846.
Yeah, exactly. You have ports. Almost looks like it's the same token, but practically. Hex blockers. We also have this one's pretty cool. This is the half price train. That can be used greatly. Another blocker. This one's cool too. This is you put 3 tokens out on 3 different. They're not port hexes. They're ferry hexes, and then you can actually run them. And then this one, this guy is the GCV. He basically operates in the north and makes the north more.
He can make the north,
right?
Yes, more economically feasible because the north is frozen.
It is.
Up there, it's cold up there, and there's not a lot going on up north. But there are opportunities up north, as we will discuss.
Yeah. So, I mean, standard waterfall auction once you get it all set
and
up.
this
right?
guy.
Oh, this guy. Who's this guy?
Good old Forster here. He allows you to steal priority deal once in the game. It's actually kind of important. So
Yeah. I'd say especially
if he's in, and he's not in every.
No. But in a game that's like kind of smaller and a little tighter, as I'd say this is, like being able to open that company exactly when you want to open it is huge. But there's a lot more reasons why you might want priority deal.
Yeah. But
But we need to talk about other
it
stuff
also
first.
might not even be bad to have a company dumped on you. So we'll see. So
No. There's a couple cool MacGuffins we'll talk about when we get to shenanigans a little bit later. But there's a very large lever in this game.
There is.
That's pretty cool. So let's see. Doing this live. This is so weird doing this live. This map.
Are we dead when we do it normally?
No, but I'm like, I hit buttons and things and stuff just happens.
Oh, right.
Right? Like this is completely different to me. But
Yeah, that's a long and skinny map.
it is a glorious, long and skinny.
This is where the action is.
It's got a little chubby. It's like an edamame shaped map,
There you go.
right? But I kind of like it. I like the bookfold map. I like that, if you are one of limited space and limited, people to play 18xx with, as we'll talk about at the end, this is great.
And these orange lines are National Railroad routes.
Yes.
That it's cool, right? Like, so you only have one track action per round, but You can take a second one if you can lay one of these orange routes exactly as it is. So, like, in effect, you get an extra tile lay if you're helping the government build their red lines.
And it's great because it's even if you lay the yellow track, and let's say you're against a straight one of these lines, and you lay a curve into it,
Cut in,
when
and
you
then keep going.
right. But when you come back later on the green and you lay the Y, because you made that track straight and match what was underneath.
So if the yellow one doesn't match and a later green one does match,
You get the green
You
free.
get the green for free.
You can get the
A second
brown
action.
free as a second action.
The
So
upgrade.
what a cool system.
Yeah, it's cool.
I really, very unique and very cool. I love it a lot. The other thing is for those of you who are not watching, there's basically, it's a long straight map. There's 3 lines on the map that kind of correspond to what we're talking about. One basically goes east to west. One goes a little east to southwest, and then the one goes south to north.
Due north.
And they all originate in Stockholm. So that's kind of the big boy in this game. And it kind of behaves a lot like, bringing back the 46 reference, it actually behaves like Chicago at 46.
Oh, Stockholm.
I
mean, it looks like the Chicago tile.
I love it. I love it
there
so
is.
much.
Until gray.
Right?
And then in gray, it joins together.
Which I also love. So, we start out with, essentially standard, one in,
46,
have to have a token there to get through. Stays that way through brown, but when we get up to silver, boom, anybody's game. You can all get in there now. And then, of course, there's some super expensive mountains sitting right in front of Stockholm, which kind of prevent people from getting in their early game, which I really dig. So
Does make it cost.
yeah, exactly. You have to make conscious effort. There's east-west bonus. There's mine bonuses as well, kind of taking you to some different areas on the board. I've only ever seen the mine area in the north, which is what that one private does, actually come into the game. The other one, I never saw anybody run it because you kind of have to run like south. You have to kind of do a 10. You have to go south, north, and then back down south, which is pretty cool.
Yep, there's the market.
So market's at the top, revenue tracker at the bottom.
It's an 1830 market.
Yeah, but that red line, Tony,
That red line is actually pretty cool.
this red line is probably my second favorite mechanism in this game. No, third, because there are 2 more things.
Yeah. I'll go with that. But basically, if you are past the red line, you can move twice on the market if you pay a dividend equal to twice your value, double jump.
And anybody who knows anything about Tony loves multiple jumps.
Double jumping.
Anytime you get a chance. But I love the fact that you can't jump right out of the gate, or you can't drive a company into the ground and then just jump out and collect and connect up to people. It doesn't, no, you have to actually be in that zone.
Another interesting feature of the market is these colored zones down here. In one respect, they feel like the yellow, orange, and brown of 1830, but it's really kind of not that way. Yes, they don't count against the share limit, but this is an incremental capitalization game, asterisk. We'll come back to that. This is an incremental capitalization game, so shares get sold. You can issue shares, but like you can also redeem shares. And when you're here, you can redeem shares at a lower value. So, for example, in our Monday game, I was down here. Just open it up like this. I was down here with one company at this low spot, and on his operating turn, that company was able to redeem all 5 shares in the bank for 0 money.
In one turn.
In one turn, boom.
Back in.
So there's some shenanigans you can play around in with here.
And then the typical brown stuff where, you can buy them all out of the market in one go at full price when you're doing regular stock round action. So there's some fun to be had. And it's, you don't really care so much if your company may or may not go away in this one.
This is the IPO board. But here's that asterisk. You can play a variant with par pricing and full capitalization. So I want to try that next.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know that existed. That kind of sounds fun.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money going around. And when we talk about MacGuffins, you'll see why.
So
there's looting to be had.
in the stock round in this game,
right?
Another 1830 aspect is you can sell by sell.
Right.
And with an incremental cap game, okay, its use is a little less valuable, right, than in a game that has like
Right.
a par price, because you're buying and selling shares at market value. But hey, if my par is 76 and my stock price is 125, then you can, do the whole
Arbitrage, yeah. And arbitrage the daylights out of it.
So that's kind of cool, and that's why I want to play
Yeah.
the full cap version.
Little game, a lot of levers.
Yeah.
Right. And the other thing I like is you actually start out with a fair amount of money in this game. Like even when you're playing with a 4-person game, like you start out with like $600. That's, unlike other games which really restrict that down. I kind of feel like this is saying get out there, buy some privates, put some money into some companies because you have some terrain costs to deal with and things like that. Even without full cap, I never felt like I was pinched so bad in this game like you do in a 30 game.
Yeah.
And it felt a little more looser in that respect, which I like. I don't like to be strangled out of the games. Hence why 17 doesn't come up in my life.
Ooh.
Cool.
Trains?
Yeah. So
Green phase? Is that green? What's green?
green. No, we're going to brown.
Okay.
We're going russet brown. Or purple if we're playing Railways of the Lost Atlas.
I thought brown was shenanigans.
Well, we're doing trains and shenanigans.
Okay, sounds good.
So we're going to move on to the brown phase. And starting with trains.
Yeah. It's 1830 style trains, right? Hey, 2 trains, 3 trains, 4 trains, 5 trains, 6 trains, diesel trains. And,
Yep.
when you buy the first 6, the diesels are available, just like
Trade in the
1830.
4, get the diesel discount.
They have diesels, of course, right?
Yep.
But they also have electric train.
Boogie, woogie, woogie.
And we have not yet talked about nationalization, but when we do, that's where the electric trains can be very handy.
Yes.
Yes, because
Yeah.
essentially, when you nationalize, the state railway gets tokens there, and they block, right? And so the E train can actually run through those tokens of the national railway without being blocked.
Which it's so thematically makes sense because, the government's subsidizing the railroad. So you're using their stops to run a train. It just kind of makes sense. Like,
Well, you don't get any money for them.
but you at least get
you're
to-
not blocked like everyone else, because
Yeah.
the E train's unlimited length.
they're
doubles
like
your
a neutral
tokens.
token for you,
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
an 82 or something like that, where they're just neutral. But we're diving. Like this is why we talk about trains because that's it. Trains, we're done. Boom,
much.
shenanigan town
Yes.
right now because this game's
Well,
pretty full. Like this is the biggest part of our notes here is shenanigans.
directly segueing from the trains, right? This is 1830, so if you don't have a route, you don't need a train.
No
So that allows
briefcase.
things like briefcases. And there's that one company way up north here.
There's a couple on the sides. There's a couple in the
Yeah.
north.
There's
Especially if that private doesn't come out, right? Like,
well, even with that private, if you get it, you can manipulate these 2 hexes.
yeah, just like you can kind of manipulate this guy or this guy,
I briefcased this guy on Monday, and that was that was great.
And it was late game. We weren't getting up there. The only problem is you got
trying
track.
to do these.
Yeah, you can lay some really tragic track right outside your front door to kind of prevent anybody from
Yeah.
linking up.
And so like
This is why you want to play the full cap game.
yes.
It just clicked.
Right, because in the incremental cap game, when I did that briefcase, I only had 60% of the money.
Yeah, and you only got your money in there too.
When the
the
full cap, I get 100% of the money. So
So you get that extra 40% for free.
yeah. Yes.
So yes, you definitely can briefcase. Tony successfully did it on us, and it was a lot of fun. But
and I built like yellow tight track going south, and then I upgraded it to the green claw, and upgraded it to so like if you're gonna build track to me, you're gonna have to go this way.
yeah, and you know what? What I did notice is even though the down south gets built up, the pace of the game is such that you always have some track you want to build to either optimize your route to get an east-west. So to waste track building to someone is a non-trivial thing.
At least during the critical parts of the game. Yes.
Yeah, when you would want to pinch you with the liability for that, but
Well, later.
there's really not a ton of
You can always
liability.
come back to that briefcase later, but
Yeah.
so.
But I think I think, you kind of talked about the D train, and then, we talked about the trade in.
You can do the trade in.
Yeah, I think the biggest lever. So, I said the things I love about this game, and I'm kind of giving the feels away for me, but I like the nationalization track. I like, how everything kind of works together. I love the market with the double jumps. There are just a lot of fun things to play around with.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest levers that will keep you coming back to this game to figure out the timing on is the nationalization rules.
Yeah.
So you're probably better at explaining it than me.
Okay.
so I will let you kind of try to lead
Sure.
it, and I'll chime in if I have anything to add.
If you think about like 1861,
Yeah.
that's a famous, amazing game with nationalization that happens on the rusting events, right? The 4 train,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. So in this game, similar, it happens on the rusting event. So when the 2s rust, the 3s rust, and the 4s
All
rust,
of them.
there is an opportunity for a company to get nationalized at each spot. To be nationalized, you have to not have a train and have already operated, right?
That's easy. I can usually make that happen.
But you have to also be the most valuable stock price company. So it's gonna take the top company off the stack. So the implications of that are amazing, right? Because here's the key part. When you get nationalized, right?
Right.
Your stock price goes back to, and then you get paid, all shareholders get paid for your stock price. So if I'm getting nationalized at 140, boom, boom, we're all getting $110, right? So
Right.
it's not like a totally painful thing.
But you've also probably run in that round.
Maybe,
hopefully.
yeah. Maybe your 2 trains have
Right?
just rusted.
Maybe you ran twice in that operating round if you were fortunate enough to be in green or something.
But like you think about this is my high value company. I want to protect it and everything. But in many ways, I want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because I can use $110 a share from my $140 company to start another company to buy up more trains,
Yeah.
right?
And that's why you ruined it so effectively.
Yes. And I don't want the train liability. And so jockeying for that position, right? Because that makes the 1830 stock rounds sing, because people are, let me buy 1 or 2 of this and sell that and do this. Maybe that'll sell out at the end and move up. And you're trying to position yourself for which company do you want?
Yeah.
Whether it's mine or yours, maybe I own 3 of yours and I want,
So you have 3 things happening at one time. You have somebody who is potentially trying to manipulate the market so that they can have the opportunity to go in first, and or the only, because there's no first 2. No, there's only one company going in each event.
Right. And if everybody's got trains, nobody goes. But
And then you have somebody who's trying to jockey because they need to buy trains, so they want first crack at that deck. They want to buy that 5. They don't want to buy that 4. So you got somebody playing around with that. Then you got the investor trying to figure out who the heck they're going to buy. So that one stock round we saw. Oh my goodness, that was very long. There was a lot happening in the one big stock round that was leading up to the 4 train rust. That was a big event, and it was a blast. Because somebody was there were 2 5s, standard 30, and somebody was getting ready to buy the 6. So you had a poison 4, you had 2 5s, you had a company that just started, you had somebody else start another company and get stolen. It was.
Oh yes,
that was a very busy stock round.
Yeah,
very busy.
Any stock round where you feel there's going to be a rusting event in the next set of ORs can be a little shenanigan-y, right? As people are doing things.
And I'll tell you right now, no one's honest. What are you going to do with that company? I don't know. They might not know, frankly, but it's a blast. I really liked it.
It does take. It's not as punishing, right? If you're able to get rid of one of your liabilities into nationalization, as it would be in a pure 1830 game where you need to buy the trains. But if you're counting on that nationalization and you miss and somebody else got nationalized, well, start coughing up some bucks for that next train, right?
Yeah, and that was the one where I didn't see the 6 train getting purchased in the first set. So I thought I would have 2 runs. So I'd have 2 jumps forward and I'd get paid out handsomely right before the the stock round. And no.
You were running with 2 4 trains,
Yep.
and Jeroen bought a 6, and I had $800 in a 4 train.
Yeah.
So I bought the D and killed your 4s, and you're like, your first reaction was, oh crap. But you were the highest company, so you got nationalized, right?
Right.
So your all crap moment
So it wasn't the worst
as
OPEC,
bad, right?
Because
And
I
then you
actually got
money
paid.
per share. Yeah.
Right. But then I also had, I now lost that company. So I didn't have something to run in OR2 with,
Right.
with that. I ran my new company.
I'm not saying
instead.
it's good to be nationalized, but it's not the end of the
It
world.
wasn't as painful as it has been, but that was kind of unexpected right there at the end. But that was a lot of fun.
And
really
the
liked
SJ is
that.
the state railroad, right? Like we already mentioned,
Yeah.
getting tokens, but it doesn't operate or anything. It's just
No, I
it
think
just drops tokens where you had yours.
Yeah, so anybody who gets gobbled up turns into those. And like Tony was saying earlier with the E train, now, there are, everybody can do some of these routes, especially if, it wasn't the level I was playing at.
That E train's expensive.
Yeah, 13?
$1,300.
Yeah, it's a very expensive train. But, you can get through a lot of tokens. Now, you can't use them as a start stop. You still have to have one of your tokens in the route.
Sure.
But it's still pretty darn nice. Yeah, so very cool. That's probably the biggest MacGuffin. So I think we kind of given away a lot of the feels, but let's officially go into the gray phase, silver phase. Yeah. And unlike Cleveland, we're not going to go down in value. We're going to go up. We're going to go up. Actually, I think they went down and browned and up and whatever. We don't play that anymore. Feels. So tell me, Tony. My feel. I've been pretty upfront about how I feel about it.
Well, I said at the beginning, right? 1830 and 1846 had a baby in Sweden. So I'll say 1830 and 1846 had a baby in Sweden. And it's a nice addition to the family.
Yeah.
So I do like this game. In my opinion, this is like an excellent example of how elements of games that have gone before us can be reimagined and recombined and produce a very creative and fun game.
Yeah, it's they very easily with the state routes, right? Like they could have done something like like New York did with, just like you build on this route, you get some money.
Yeah.
And you hurt the person who has that private. Like it's definitely an interesting way to do it, but having the line and be that potential extra track lay, I think it really helps build track. And I think it also helps keep the track moving, because I think when you kind of get in these tight areas with an 1830 tile set, mostly, I think you can really run into some really bad track lays. But I think this kind of encourages more thoughtful and consistent track in the congested areas. So,
I definitely think that 18 SJ, it's not a long game. Right?
No.
It plays at a pretty high pace. But I definitely think SJ is worth the money, so to speak, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm going to buy this game, and am I going to play it enough times to have, made my a return on that investment? And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a great weeknight game. It's a great one to introduce people to 18XX with, because I think it's not as painful as a lot of other ones, but I think this is one of the ones you can really show them stock round shenanigans without a ton of butthurt on the back end. Right? Like me. Like we played a lot. My company went in and it wasn't that bad.
I'll respectfully disagree. It's 1830 market, and there'll be some butthurt. So.
Yeah, but I think that, the fact that you can nationalize, and you still have to make the effort to make that actually happen.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a simple way to do that.
And that's that key lever in the game, right? Is like
timing.
Being the one to nationalize when you have to and want to.
Yeah. Which is kind of interesting, being a runs good companies kind of guy that I am, right? Like, but it's also great because it meant that, when I did get hosed, I was out in front at that point. So I was able to actually capitalize on the nationalization.
I see what you did there.
I see what I did there. But it's definitely interesting. And I really enjoyed it. I will be ordering it and adding it to my collection for sure, because I think it's, especially like 3-player,
I think it plays, nice
great.
there. I'd like to try it too. I think going back to our 2-player game issue, I think this would be a great little 2-player game too, because, I think it could be nice and tight. I like it.
Yeah, you're definitely going to be forced to compete with each other on the map. That's for sure.
Yeah, because and I think they think there are some other items that happen. I did not research 2-player at all, so I can't really speak to it. But just like $800 a head, they actually designed this with 2 players in mind, and I believe there are some items that actually changed just to help kind of keep play moving along. I think it's good. I think the lever of the National could be a lot of fun with too, as well. So I think that's a good point. But if you can't tell. I really liked it. I was pleasantly surprised.
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
I was too.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting much. I didn't order it on the last wave. It wasn't one of the ones I got. I got New York because I wanted that, and I forget what the other one I got was off the top of my head. PNW.
Yeah.
But I did not get SJ, and I did not get Moon, and I didn't play Moon, but I want to because it looked really cool. So I like some of the things it did. So now I'm kind of
Haven't played.
yeah. So I may have been one of those people who wanted to order the whole wave. Who knew?
I played an early Moon prototype way back in like early 2020. I think
Oh
it
wow!
was. Yeah.
that-
Yeah. At Narrow Gauge, John was
Okay.
corresponding with the designer,
Okay.
had a little playtest copy. So.
Yeah, I'm curious. The production came out great on it. I really liked what they did with the cubes and things like that.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get that to the table or try that out. But this is going to be showing up, and we'll go from there. So I guess the last thing to talk about is priority deal, because we got to talk about the priority deal marker. Now, neither of us own. Well, you kind of own this because Trax does. So what would you say? What comes in the box is an awesome moose. So remember, and I had to remember myself because 1882 came with a beaver. It did not come with a moose.
Okay.
So you think moose, you think Canada, but no, we actually want to think Sweden. Sweden.
I think another good priority deal marker would be a scaled down version of the snowplow train we saw at the
I
at
love
the 4D
that.
museum. That was-
Yeah, if anybody has need for one,
Man.
probably them. So I think that's a great idea. So this was awesome. Like I said, very pleasantly surprised. I like the weeknight gaming aspects of it. I think it's good.
Yeah,
And I think
agreed.
you should definitely give it a try.
Good addition to the family.
Yeah, but come on. We like 30s style games. We like 46 style games. Of course, we're gonna like their child.
That's right.
So awesome. Well, that's gonna be a wrap. I think we're good. Yeah. Wow. This might be one of our fastest episodes.
Cool. It's time to go eat sushi. Well, it's time for me to watch people eat sushi while I eat other things.
They have beef. You can.
And they have sake, so
There you go.
we're good.
Excellent. Well, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you soon because I think we're actually going to have a couple more we want to talk about. So we're going to keep talking about them until we don't run out again, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. This Week in Each Week is brought to you by Game Toppers. Upgrade your gaming experience at GameToppersLLC.com. We'll see you next time.